Hey, everybody, Dr. Meri Crowley for Now is the Time. I'm so excited about this program today. I'm going to have Cathy O'Brien, amazing woman that has been a true freedom fighter that was literally involved in an MK Ultra mind control program that went up to the highest levels of Pentagon, White House level, trafficked. It's an amazing story, you guys. You're not going to want to miss this program today. But today's program is sponsored by Exodus Strong, and they have a red light therapy, mat that's really almost half price on these mats. Let's roll that commercial, please.
The last time Rob was here with his red light therapy, we sold out during the program. The fountain of youth is red light.
It really helps your body in dramatic ways, not only in the skin surface level, but it goes in deep. It's got near infrared as well, so it goes in deep into the body and helps the mitochondrial process work more effectively.
NASA-inspired technology is this red light, and you can get it in all sorts of places. I mean, the Hollywood people use this all the time, right? The fancy folks. Athletes, Hollywood folks. It shuts down joint pain, melts inches off your waistline. Harvard, Stanford, NASA, like I mentioned, recharging your cells, reducing inflammation and pain. My wife's been using it on her hip and upper leg. Pain has reduced, mobility has improved. Even our dog loves it. Does this really help animals too?
We've got these amazing mats that compare with these $8,000 panels that are just super expensive because they work, but these mats are just as effective. And then we combine it with our quantum energy frequencies. With the code today, it's like $597, right? So we sell them typically for $1,200 off. We're going to send you an amazing bottle of Exodus, which has 7 biblical herbs and the molecular hydrogen.
You only have 40 of these available because production is apparently a little slow. At QEstrong.com, achieve $597 after your $100 Gruber discount.
Yeah, so my discount code is Meri, M-E-R-I, right in the middle of America. Go to QEstrong.com//Meri. And I have one of these mats. I use it at least 3 to 4 times a week, and it really does make a difference. So go there or click on the link below. It really does work. So anyway, I'm so honored to have Cathy O'Brien on my program today. And she's become such a wonderful friend. And I'm so excited to announce that we have our 9th Open the Heavens coming up on October 2nd and 3rd in the beautiful Mansion Theater in Branson. And it is free to register. If you go to my website, mericrowley.com, you can register for free, or you can get your VIP. It's early bird special. Normally it's $196, but you give you a 10% discount. It's $176. If you go to mericrowley.com, and if you get the early bird special before September 1st. So you guys, we're already having people that are signing up, registering, as well as getting their VIP. One lady, Cathy, after she saw you were going to be there, she lives in the Springfield area, right outside of Branson. She got 8 tickets. And so it's really amazing that we're going to have Cathy there. This is the former Wayne Newton Theater. It holds 3,000 people. It's a beautiful, it looks like, if you see at the top of the flyer, it looks like the White House. And so we're going to be talking about some White House things today that Cathy, in the MK Ultra papers, that she's actually writing some papers for that. We'll find out more about it from Cathy today. So go to Meri, put up on the website, mericrowley.com. Go to www.mericrowley.com, and you can get your VIP discount, $176. It's actually in celebration of the 250-year celebration of our country's inception in 1776. So anyway, okay, we look forward to seeing you there. Okay, Cathy, well, it's great to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm super excited about the Branson event. What a perfect place to open the heavens.
Yeah, now you were at the very first one you came to was in Florida, I think, down in Champions Church in Winter Haven, Florida. And then we just did one then you went to San Diego. And then you came to the last one, they were in Las Vegas on May 8th and 9th. So that was really powerful. I know 107 and a number of patriots have done many events over at, the Ahern Hotel. Don Ahern is a true patriot, and it's a boutique hotel, but we really had a great time there. So I'm excited about the one in Branson. And so we'll keep on talking about that as we go along, but please register or get your VIP. The VIP includes VIP seating down by the front. It also at the lunch on Saturday, it's a VIP luncheon along with meet and greet with all the speakers. So really some of these other events like Clay Clark Reawaken, some of them are $500. You don't even get a luncheon or a meet and greet. So I think this is a deal, don't you think, Cathy?
Absolutely, it is. Best of all, the whole vibration of your events is just it's so uplifting. Everyone goes away empowered and uplifted, and it's just a beautiful way for people to converge and share truth. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
So anyway, Cathy, some people might not know, what has happened to you. Just let's give an overview of, what happened when you were young and at the beginning of it when Gerald Ford came to your father. And why don't you explain just some of that just for maybe a few minutes at the beginning?
Yes, I'm a survivor of CIA, MK Ultra mind control, and I've been speaking out on it for over 35 years on MK Ultra, healing from it, and raising awareness into how many aspects of society have been infiltrated and everything else. When I started speaking out in around 1990 with Mark Phillips, most people didn't have a point of reference for the information, but now after the June 30th MK Ultra hearings, it seems the whole world is saying MK Ultra and wanting to know more. And what an amazing time to have voice and continue to bring this information to light, because being used on a White House Pentagon level gave me a lot of insight into this plan, the whole agenda, and the pedophile agenda. And from my life's experience, it also gave me that insight because I was born into a multi-generational incest-based family, and my father was sexually, satanically abused. My mother was sexually abused and trafficked to my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge. And when I was born in 1957 in Muskegon, Michigan, I was being sexually abused from infancy. And when we understand our own mind brain function, we find that my father's abuse, even though I couldn't think to know what he was doing was wrong. I mean, I was just an infant. My brain knew, and it shut down neuron pathways in my brain and repressed that memory. His abuse expanded into child pornography, more neuron pathways shut down, repressed memory. Then he began trafficking me to my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge, more neuron pathways shut down. Mind control shuts down neuron pathways. Trauma shuts down neuron pathways. And the whole MK Ultra agenda is counting on neuron pathways in the brain being shut down. And it had been found in Hitler Himmler research. There's no trauma more horrific on the human mind than sexual abuse of a child prior to age 5 while the brain is still forming, because it makes them compliant the rest of their lives. With the neuron pathways shut down, the conscious mind is not using its filter, and just information goes into the subconscious to drive thoughts and actions. So that's the pedophile agenda is a mind control agenda. And because I'd been sexually abused from infancy, it made me a target for MK Ultra, especially when my father was caught sending child pornography of me through the US mail. The local politician I'd been trafficked to since a little bitty toddler, Gerald Ford, um, I told my father he could receive immunity from prosecution if he'd sell me into the CIA's MK Ultra program. My father did, and it shows how long our justice system's been corrupted to allow for the proliferation of pedophilia. national security was invoked on his case, and he went free, and I became enslaved into robotic, torturous MK Ultra mind control.
Now, Kathy, a lot of people don't understand. Like, I know when I went to Thailand in 2017 with a videographer, and I'm glad that I went because it's the number one sex tourist destination in the world is Thailand. And when I came back, I felt the Lord speak to me or God and say, I wanted you to know what happened in Thailand, but I want you to show what's happening in America.
Yeah.
And so explain a little bit. People go, MK Ultra, mind control, CIA. So when the Nazis explain what happened with the Nazis, how they came over and they were part of NASA and the CIA, because people think, oh, well, we won World War II. Well, we did to some extent, but not really because they just went underground. So with the CIA, what did they start doing? Like they started taking some of these traumatic programs that Joseph Mengele,
Yeah.
ended up. So explain that for us, Kathy.
Well, in the wake of World War II, we imported the Nazi and fascist scientists into the U.S., and with them came in the formula for MK Ultra mind control. Since knowledge is our defense against mind control, they needed to be able to operate in secrecy. So the 1947 National Security Act was formed so that these crimes against humanity could be covered up. And the CIA was formed at the same time to carry out these MK Ultra deeds on the global population. So we didn't win World War II. It just went secret into MK Ultra and has expanded globally from there. And the secrets on mind control are kept in secret societies like the Blue Masonic Lodge, where I'd been trafficked. The local politician that gave my father immunity was Gerald Ford. As his political career escalated, so too did my victimization in MK Ultra until I was used on a White House Pentagon level. And it was on that level, deep in the swamp among these perpetrators, that I was exposed to the global agenda, to the global perpetrators of this, and knowing what their plan is for all of humanity over 100 years to condition people into compliance, to condition them into follow an authority blindly rather than think for themselves. It was 100-year plan, and it's supposed to culminate 2030. And people are waking up. Not only did I survive and wake up from my MK Ultra ordeal, but people all over the world are waking up. The Great Awakening is real, and we are in the middle of a mental and spiritual evolution that is, it's so exciting. What a time to open the heavens in Branson, which is, was a pit and an epicenter of abuse, MK Ultra abuse for me.
Well, and she has got a book that I travel a lot. And so a lot of times when I'm driving or on planes, I personally like to listen to it like on an Audible and so I've listened to it twice. And as I'm listening to it, I got so angry because of this White House, with George H.W. Bush, in particular, the scene where you talked about where he would dress like Mr. Rogers and he would read these books to you and he would talk about, the neighborhood, like, explain a little bit about what happened with Cheney and Bush, because these were two corrupt criminals. Like, wasn't George H.W. Bush the director of the CIA or the Criminals in Action?
Yeah, really, really. George Bush was heavily involved in MK Ultra, of individuals and of nations and ultimately the world. He is the one who told us he was leading us into what Adolf Hitler first termed the New World Order. So it's not. He wasn't even secretive about that aspect. George Bush was one of the most highly influential perpetrators that I ever encountered behind the scene on a global scale. And he was head of the CIA for a long time, and ultimately head of the shadow government and the shadow CIA all along, just forever. He was the power behind presidencies, and he was definitely someone that we've got to understand the magnitude of the power and influence that he had, as well as his comrade and buddy Dick Cheney and his other closest friend Bill Clinton. There's no party lines in these perpetrators and their agenda. It's just an assault on humanity, intended to dumb us down into total compliance and intended to align us with artificial intelligence. And so our humanity is under attack. Our brilliant minds are being shut down to align us with AI, because AI, stupid as they are, they're the ones programming. I mean, AI is stupid and it's flat linear, and they got to dumb us down to align us with it. So in so many ways, the MK Ultra mind control agenda is a spiritual warfare, and it's one to exchange our God for an artificial intelligence
Well,
to follow.
that's why Kathy, in the Old Testament, when Moses was out, in the tending the sheep or whatever, and in a bush, a burning bush, and Moses asked, who are you? And he said, I am. He said, I am. That was God's name, I am. And if you look at AI, it's the exact opposite. You know what I mean? So
Wow, yes, that's true. Whoa, that, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
so they're trying to replace our God, and they have been all along. And in order to do it, they have to undermine the very nature of humanity, our spirituality, our wisdom, our strength of spirit, soul expression, infinite power of love. Those are all the things that they fear. It's such a high vibration. And they're low vibration, dark negative energy force, flat linear, just real low vibration. They feed off a low vibration. They feed off of negativity and fear and trauma. They feed off of abusing our children and trafficking and harvesting our children. We've got to wise up and remember who we are and why we're here, and go within. Align with that divine, and gather the strength of the human spirit and infinite power of love, because that's our victory. We're divinely designed with that victory within us, and we've just been misled outside ourselves for so long we forgot. It's time to remember. Time to remember who we are, why we're here, gather that strength of spirit, and start effectively protecting our children going forward, and refusing to comply with this dark agenda any further.
Well, and Kathy, you see what they're doing, even me being in the LA Hollywood area, which I was told to build a studio to rival Disney. Now, technically, I've only done one film called Freedom Cry, which is all about sex trafficking in America, that we're going to be showing at the event in Branson in the afternoon after we come back from the VIP lunch. We'll see that. And then, we'll have a panel of people. And Kathy, of course, will be one of the headline speakers. But let me tell you, they've used Disney. And even often when I was listening to your book, Transformation, they so often use these stories and Disney characters, correct? From what
Yes.
I remember. Why don't you explain a little bit about that, Kathy?
Absolutely. And the underground of the underworld of Disney World was DARPA, NASA, MK Ultra Programming Epicenter. The MK Ultra connections into Disney are extensive. All we need to do is look into Project Paperclip. Anyone can research for themselves. And Disney was part of Project Paperclip, along with Werner von Braun, head of NASA. And it's like, what does a child's cartoon have to do with NASA? MK Ultra, mind control, and ultimately the sexualization of children that was subliminally embedded in Disney um, cartoons from the get go, to condition three generations into accepting the pedophile mind control agenda. It's not a sexual preference; it's a control mechanism. It's a way of de-evolving humanity from being able to think to go within and gather their strength of spirit. So, Disney has been part of this assault on our humanity and undermining our spirituality from day one. The subliminals, people are more aware of them now, but you can go back to the beginning. They've always been there.
Well, go into some of the subliminal, like look at Pinocchio. They're put on this, they were being sold and put on an island. Why don't you just go into a few of the subliminals, just not the ones that everybody sees? Like they use the Wizard of Oz a lot, correct?
Yes, and the Wizard of Oz was one that was used, and of course Pinocchio. That's one that my owner in MK Ultra, U.S. Senator Robert C. Byrd, he used that theme a lot because he would talk about carving out what he wants, just like they carved Pinocchio into this little puppet that could be controlled. And so Bird would often use that analogy of carving out what he wanted because he always kept his pocket knife with him anyway. Because anytime I was severely tortured, he would use it to program me further or whatever, but also to 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 withdraw the adrenalized blood, which is very much a part of that of their ritualistic attitudes. But using all that just because of the Disney theme Pinocchio, and so there's a whole lot of these themes that continue to be used. Peter Pan, the boy who would never grow up, because when there's when the brain is shut down and isn't firing properly, there's no continuity of thought, and without continuity of thought, there's no perception of time. Without a perception of time, there's no concept of age. So the idea of never growing up is exactly what it's like to be severely traumatized as a little child and left in that state of not being able to think or grow up.
Now, Senator Robert Byrd, I mean, he was your handler, even though you were married. You were married off to. There was two men, but one of them they used the country music people a lot. Correct? I was
Um,
surprised with that.
Yes, my Bird was my owner since I was 13 years old. As my owner, he directed my activities, what black budget operations I would be used in, what black ops, who I'd be prostituted to, and when. And he also decided who my handlers would be, and those were the two that he assigned to. Wayne Cox was the occult serial killer, CIA assassin, deep in the swamps of Louisiana. Part of the country music industry. He was a musician in the country music industry. And Bird always kept everything in the country music industry because he fancied himself a fiddler. And he was always performing at the Grand Ole Opry. When he had time off, he would go there and play his fiddle, and also corrupt the industry and entirely into MK Ultra, CIA drug ops, and everything else. So after I was severely traumatized by Wayne Cox, he assigned my next handler in MK Ultra, which was Alex Houston. Alex Houston was a ventriloquist, stage hypnotist in the country music industry, and the country music industry was being used as a means of traveling throughout the United States, South America, the Caribbean, and everything else. It's a means of distributing the CIA cocaine across the nation. Is also used in human trafficking ops and MK Ultra, both of which are the funding mechanism of this globalist agenda, this great reset, this new world order, whatever they want to call it. The point's the same. It's a slave society agenda. And the country music industry was being used as a means of expanding it because it happened to be Senator Byrd's personal interest.
Now, you had brought up about Branson when I mentioned that we were doing the next one in Branson. You said, oh, that's where they used. Why don't you explain what happened in Branson?
Well, the CIA cocaine operations had been in effect when I was with Wayne Cox. First, he worked the Bill Clinton MENA cocaine operations, and they were merging the precursor to adrenochrome into it, which was a satanic aspect of it. And the CIA cocaine operations were already in full swing. Bill Clinton was heavily involved in all that, major part of the funding mechanism. And MENA is notorious for its cocaine ops. And so Senator Byrd had decided that we needed to merge the country music industry closer to Bill Clinton's MENA cocaine operations. And actually moved much of the industry out of Nashville over to Branson to align with Bill Clinton's operations there, to be closer to the Lamping, Missouri operations. It was just
What was
a
in
more
Lampy,
convenient
Missouri?
location.
What was in Lampy, Missouri?
A huge MK Ultra programming epicenter, a drug hub for cocaine and heroin ops, mostly the MK Ultra child sex trafficking operations and everything else. So all that was being moved further into Branson. And back in the day, the Pied Piper of Branson was Boxcar Willie, and he was on TV constantly, um, talking about Branson and bringing people in, and it was using harmonics in the music. When I say Pied Piper, I mean it quite literally, but he was using the harmonics in the music to get people to transfer over there. Boxcar Willie is sexually assaulted my daughter and is a pedophile. Horrible, was very much promoting the child sex trafficking operations as well. But that was when they very first started up Branson. We look at the people like Alex Houston and Boxcar Willie that were part of that, and their relationship to Bill Clinton, to Bill and Hillary Clinton, and Senator Byrd, and we start being able to put the pieces together and understand how Branson just sprung up out of nowhere to become this new country music hub.
Well, another thing that I was, guess I shouldn't be surprised, but Jimmy Buffett was also one that was very much used in this. Merle Haggard, Charlie Pride. I mean, I never liked country music really, but you named some names in your book that that I was surprised about. But let's go back into the White House level. So you were pretty much MK Ultra, so they could use you almost as a carrier pigeon to literally give messages to leaders of countries, to different ones on various levels. Why don't you explain a little bit about that, Cathy?
Yeah, the New World Order was really put in full swing with the Kennedy assassination. And that's when these perpetrators took control of our country. It was in the wake of the Kennedy assassination that the electronic voting machines came into being. Follow the money on the first ones, the Diebold machines, goes directly to George Bush and Dick Cheney. Like I said, it says these same perpetrators over and over. They wanted to make sure that they could place the cooperative people in key positions of power and influence in order to bring about this globalist agenda. So the person who covered up the Kennedy assassination with the Warren Commission was Gerald Ford. And Gerald Ford was rewarded with the presidency for having done that. And I am acutely aware, from having been so closely associated with Ford throughout my victimization, that George Bush pretty much, ran his administration behind the scene. George Bush was a powerful influence in many administrations, preferring his power to be behind the scene rather than actually having to hold the office himself. But because there's so few of them, he had to eventually do that. And it was my experience being in the Reagan White House that when Ronald Reagan failed to comply with the globalist agenda favoring U.S. sovereignty instead, it was decided then that he was going to um, be assassinated, and that they needed to pick their vice president accordingly. And the debate went on, and people can even research it. It was right up to the midnight hour whether it was going to be George Bush or Gerald Ford, who would be the VP that would take over when Reagan was assassinated. And George Bush said that they couldn't put Ford in again in the wake of an assassination unelected, so he would just have to do it himself. So Bush became vice president, and he ran Reagan's administration. When Reagan survived the assassination attempt, the trauma itself rendered him susceptible to MK Ultra. And it was my experience being on the inside of the Reagan Bush administration, which was really the Bush Reagan administration, that George Bush and Dick Cheney ran his administration the whole time. And I wonder, what Reagan would have chose had he been free to run his own administration. But that information on the extent of manipulation that I witnessed and was privy to, the knowledge on, was omitted from Transformation of America, my 1995 testimony, because they didn't want people to doubt the presidency in any way. And also telling me that my perception was an opinion and not a fact. Well, it was a fact that George Bush and Dick Cheney treated Reagan horribly, mistreated him, treated him like dirt, used me as a sexual distraction with him while they ran his administration. So there's a whole lot of information that I was privy to in that process, that makes us all need to step back and look at how much influence is used on not only the presidency, the leaders of nations worldwide, but on Congress, on Supreme Court justices, all the way to the Supreme Court. We've got to start looking at this. Once we factor MK Ultra into the equation, we're going to understand how our system became so corrupted to the point that it is today, where it's so important that rather than wait on government to clean up, it's going to take a long time. We need to educate ourselves with knowledge that's our defense against mind control, reclaim our birthright to live the love we are, and remember who we are and why we're here, because this is a time for self-responsibility, self-governance, and for us to effectively protect our children going forward.
Well, another thing that I was surprised at, like you were given, they pretty much programmed you through this abuse because of the amount of trauma. You actually became had a photographic memory.
Yes.
There was a lot of things you could do. So one of the scenes where you actually gave a message to Noriega, right? And you basically would give these heads of state, these messages. And then you'd also be bringing these drugs across to give them from Bush,
Yes.
George H.W. Bush. And all these guys were doing heroin. And I was kind of surprised they were doing heroin, and they were doing coke, and they were doing a number of other drugs. And a lot of times they were wasted.
A lot of times they were. And you mentioned the photographic memory, which I think is really important for people to understand, that our brains photographically record events surrounding trauma. They knew that. That's used in MK Ultra, so that I would deliver messages to and from these government leaders, and I would actually use the voice inflections of my programmers because it was so photographically recorded. This photographic recording like that is also used so that politicians can flawlessly give speeches. When you have, like a Manchurian candidate like Bush Jr., who was groomed to be president by his father, he could deliver a speech flawlessly, but if you asked him a question, he he couldn't answer because he couldn't think to. That's what MK Ultra looks like, and it's something that really we need to be aware of, and how these speeches can be delivered that way. Well, they knew that and used me accordingly, but are so arrogant and stupid. They thought that I would die with their secrets. So they talked openly in front of me all the time about everything. That's how I know so many of their secrets, because I was photographically recording it. And I didn't die with their secrets like they hoped I would. Instead,
Mhm.
I'm telling.
Well, and this is the beautiful thing that God did. I know it. I know it was a God thing. That Mark Phillips, who the story is just so incredible. That your second husband, the ventriloquist, correct? That Mark somehow
Yes.
was going to be involved in a business with him, and then he started seeing like, there's something not right here. Why don't you share a little bit about that and how they were actually going to bring you to Bohemian Grove, and because before you turn 30, and pretty much have you taken out, so your secrets would be taken out with your death and sacrifice. Share a
Yes,
little
that's
bit.
what they were counting on. Bohemian Grove was used for that. That's what those rituals are really about, is eliminating the MK Ultra slaves so that they don't reveal the secrets that they've been exposed to. And I was scheduled um, to be eliminated the same way when Mark Phillips stepped in and saved me from that. And so I didn't die with their secrets, and instead, I am um, exposing them.
Well, now they're the MK Ultra hearings. You actually had something that happened on June 1st as you were preparing to write these papers. There was a tornado that came out of nowhere and pretty much destroyed, like, what, 38 trees fell on your house. It was, I'm sure, weather manipulation, because there was no alarms, no sirens, and out of
Nothing.
nowhere this funnel drops down. It only hits your property. Is that correct?
Yep, I was the only one, and there's no path, no one behind me or in front of me. And even my neighbors halfway down the drive didn't have a leaf out of place. And but my home got slammed. I was about 5 hours into writing up the MK Ultra documents that had been requested. When the first hearings were postponed, the May 13th hearings, and Tulsi Gabbard's office was raided by the CIA of MK Ultra documents and JFK files. I was requested to compile some information, some documents, and that's what I was working on when this tornado just slammed my home out of the blue. And it has no record of being a natural weather phenomena. So we know weather can be manipulated and weaponized and everything else. It raises a lot of questions. But whether it was or it wasn't an assault, the fact is I completed those documents and turned them in as planned. So the truth that always does get out there, and they just keep tipping their hands, being absolutely ridiculous in their censorship efforts. My house is still standing, absolutely devastated, but nevertheless it's standing, and no one was hurt. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's just miracles upon miracles. And it just, the times that we're living in, I feel so blessed, and I'm so happy to have voice now, and will continue to speak out.
Now, when are these papers, like, when will these papers that you wrote up, who is actually going to receive these papers? And when is it going to go? Is it going to go before Congress? Is it going to go through? What's the next step with that?
Ideally, I would hope that survivors are going to be heard in MK Ultra hearings, and then that is where what should happen. But then again, there's no act of Congress that can clear this mess up. It's up to truth getting out there. It's up to the people. You know,
Yeah,
excuse me.
it's we the people. When I interviewed Liz Crokin in 2017, when I had her, I had used to have a studio, and now I do everything on podcasts. And they've shadow banned me. I mean, my Rumble channel is not growing. They keep unfollowing my friends and then new people that come on. And so it stays the same. So you guys share this with as many people as you can. We got back up on YouTube, but I'm telling you, it's a war. And the way they've made their money is through the trafficking. And that's the way they made it. But let me tell you, when I interviewed Liz Crokin, when she started talking about MK Ultra, I kind of went like, MK Ultra, what's that? I knew a lot about the trafficking, but that's when I went down the rabbit hole. I couldn't believe it. I go, what? So a lot of people, Cathy, just don't believe. They go, this is too weird. This isn't true. This is, and because they don't believe, Cathy, and those of you watching don't believe there's people this evil, but there really is. I mean, they literally hunt children. I mean, Cheney used to do that, correct? I mean, he hunted people like the Hunger Games. They actually take movies because there's something, isn't there something that they have to tell you what they're doing?
Not necessarily that, but they're just arrogant and blatant about what they do and think, well, people aren't going to believe it anyway. It's like Bert said, people don't think to look for this kind of criminal activity, and they don't. And that, to me, is the purity of humanity. But the fact is, we share this planet with a dark negative energy force that is not like us, and they do not like us, and we need to wake up to that reality so that we can effectively protect our children. So I continue to speak out and bring that truth to light. And it's important that people understand it's within us all. We've got the victory within us. We've just been misled away from it for so long.
Well, the dark negative energy is Satan and the demons that literally try to control the planet through fear, manipulation, and that's why they've used children. They tend to look for children that are in. I know it happened to my son in a Christian preschool that he was just going a few mornings a week. They go after in the boy. I mean, there's so many places that they try to find, correct, Cathy, where there's nobody would ever think they would do it. So we can't be fearful about it. We have to pray. But what are the signs, Cathy? And then we'll wrap it up because people can come. Cathy's got a lot of great books too about being healed from this PTSD. So look at Cathy as free and whole, and her and Mark Phillips eventually got married. And it was like a story. They lived happily ever after as freedom fighters that's fighting for the cause. And I know that God supernaturally redeemed and restored her because it was only through an act of God. You all need to get that book at the end, because I'm telling you, I've listened to it twice. You can rent it. You can get Audible or you can buy it as well. So Cathy, as we kind of wrap up, the trauma that you went through after you met Mark and you guys you went up to Canada, he pretty much rescued you and your daughter, Kelly, that they were also, trafficking her at a young age when she was pretty much born. Is that correct?
She was born into MK Ultra, and that's when Mark, when he saw little children being taken in and out of the White House like she was, that's when he chose to do something about it and rescued Kelly and I right out of our victimization. Intercepted me on the way to the Bohemian Grove, where they were sure I was going to be killed with all their secrets. Ha ha, didn't happen. Yeah, what a hero to us all. Mark just made all the difference in the world. And he also found our birthright information on healing buried under national security and reminded me how blessed we all are that we can heal from within. And Mark couldn't release that information. He was bound by laws of sedition, but I could release it. I healed with it, and I'm not bound by laws of sedition. So I've released it. PTSD, Time to Heal. Also, the second book in my trilogy is Resolutions, and the third is Align with the Divine. And those three books are helping other survivors to realize that we have resiliency of body, mind, and spirit, that we have been blessed with the ability to heal all along. We've been designed perfectly. Our brains are amazing, and those books remind everyone everywhere of that, not just trauma survivors, but everyone everywhere, because Mary, this is a traumatic planet, and people are being subjected very deliberately to trauma through MK Ultra means on a global scale. And we all need to reclaim our inner peace, and to go within and gather that strength of human spirit and infinite power of love, and celebrate the victory that we are by divine design. It's such an amazing time to be alive, to be sharing this information, to be able to get it out there, and reach people with it. It amazes me how aligned with the divine is as censored as my 1995 testimony, Transformation of America. These people are so scared of people remembering who they are and why they're here. So,
anyway, what a story, Cathy, with what God brought you into a season of light, love, and liberty. And, you became, literally healed. And people have gone after into these places like the Boy Scouts and the sometimes churches and all these other things. And Cathy, what do people need to look for? And we don't want you to fear, like, what happens if this happens to my child, or whatever. What are maybe some of the signs that you might want to look at, or tell your children, what would you say to the kids or to the parents if they're listening to this, wondering if it could happen to their children?
Oh, we should stop the sexualization of children, because it's blurring the line on the violation that actually is to them. So I think the most important thing that we need to do is educate ourselves to what mind control entails, to understand that the pedophile agenda is a mind control agenda, to understand the components of MK Ultra includes sleep, food, and water deprivation. So we need to get plenty of rest, and have nutritious food, and pure water, and anything. We got to keep our brains firing. Mind control shuts down neuron pathways. We need them open, and so we need some good nutrition, keep ourselves healthy, and just drive our thinking with our life's purpose and strength of the human spirit. When we go that way, we're such a high vibration, and we're able to use these brilliant brains of ours that we've been blessed with, because our brains have been made perfect, and we've been blessed with such resiliency of body, mind, and spirit. So people can use all of that and look at align with the divine. Help their children to ground in nature and gravitate to that. Give them the kind of moral values that will allow them to navigate this world that we're in. We don't need to look around us and fear everybody that is there. We need to just understand our own strength and our own defense against the assault that is out there, and then we'll recognize it, and it won't have the effect that they're looking for. So education is key. Arm yourself with that truth. Of course, write out your fear and trauma with a pen and paper. That opens neuron pathways in your brain. Use that pen and paper. It activates and keeps the brain firing, which is why they took writing by hand out of the school system, to dumb the kids down. So let's get writing by hand back in the school system, get it back in your own home, get it back in your own life. These are just little things that we can do to safeguard ourselves against it, rather than have to look around us fearfully at who might be what and who, because it's not all that easy to see, but it's easy to live the love we are and live our life's purpose.
Well, what an amazing woman you are. And there's many of you that have gone through challenges, been traumatized. In fact, that's what they wanted to do with 9/11 and the assassination
Yes.
of JFK. They wanted mass trauma across the country, around the world. And but God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. So, Cathy, I'm so excited to see you in Branson. In fact, let's put up that flyer. Branson, Missouri. It's going to be October 2nd in the evening. We start at 6 o'clock at 10, and then it will go all day Saturday from 9 until 10 at night. We do have a free registration or you can go to, go to MeriCrowley.com. You can register for free or get your VIP ticket for only $176, which is a special price right now because, of course, this year we celebrate the 250 anniversary of our country's, formation when they signed the Declaration of Independence. And so if you get your VIP, you get VIP seating, you get VIP luncheon on the 3rd, which will have meet and greet with the speakers, including Cathy and many of the other ones. Troy Brewer, who literally has rescued 13,000 children globally, and that didn't just rescue them, Cathy, he provides for them. He's got a Church of the Open Door in Burleson, Texas, which is right outside of Fort Worth. And him and his wife and this church have literally been freedom fighters around the globe. Joseph got Larry Ballard, who actually lives in Branson. He has a Liberty Crusade. God, gave him this incredible visitation after he almost died in a motorcycle accident in the late 60s. Amazing. We've got so many amazing people that are going to be there. Shelley Lowry. We've got more that are going to be added to this panel of people that are true freedom fighters for the cause. So, and then we're going to have a worship band, Elam, that is actually this incredible group that came from India. I met this man named Sunny Singh, and I was at the rededication of America, Cathy, on May 17th. And we had met with Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, earlier in the day with a group of pastors. And then we had, really special seating up in the front, a lot of the pastors, and it got pretty hot. So we went under a tree. There was a little picnic table, and I met this young worship guy, and he introduced me to his aunt that was told by God to come to America with her husband and literally start redeeming certain areas in the heartland of America. And so they go around to places where they're doing worship in front of hundreds of young people. They're going to be the worship team. We're going to show my Freedom Cry film, Freedom Cry Sex Trafficking in America. And at the end of this movie, all of them get redeemed and restored, even the pimp. So it's hard to watch a little bit, but you know what? At the end, when you see how it was all turned toward good, it makes you know that just like you were rescued, Cathy, that God, nothing's impossible with God. So go to MeriCrowley.com and get your VIP tickets or register for free. In fact, put up the MeriCrowley.com in Boulder. Just take out just put up the MeriCrowley.com. Yeah. MeriCrowley.com. Meri's right in the middle of America, MeriCrowley.com. Get your VIP and register for free. And so Cathy, put us back full screen. Yeah, so Cathy, thank you for coming on. The best is yet to come. I'm so excited to see you in Branson, and God paid the ransom in Branson, right? And we're going to see a mighty move of God in Branson. And I believe that the reason we did this in the past is God spoke to me May 2nd, 2020. I woke up in LA and I heard him say these words, Cathy: we won't shut up until you open the heavens. He told me to do 7 baptisms along the western seaboard of the United States, which we did. Remember when Jesus was baptized, said the heavens were open, and he heard the voice of his Father say, "This is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased." And then in 2023, he had me start doing these different events around the country, is to open the heavens over the region. First one was Mount Rushmore, second Chicago, third one was Florida, fourth San Diego, fifth one was Nampa Civic Center in Boise, Idaho, then Costa Mesa, and then we were in the Scottish Rites Demonic Lodge or Masonic Lodge in San Francisco. And literally, we knew what the Masonic Lodge represents, believe it, but God told us to go into the belly of the beast with, Chuck Pierce, Lou Engle, Chan. We had some heavy hitter in the prophetic and apostolic realm. And there, I literally saw, there was this demonic dome, Cathy, over the city. And I saw the angel Gabriel pointing up this golden arrow and released it, and it shot through, it shattered the dome over the city. And that's what we have to do. The kingdoms of this world will now become the kingdoms of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. The 8th one was Las Vegas, and now this is the 9th one. So I believe this is going to birth something. So some of you go, well, I don't know if I want to hear about this isn't all about trafficking. This is
Right.
one of the things that we're talking about. But there's going to be so many good news and so much peace. And we're going to have prayer. We do a fire tunnel at the end where we have all the speakers line up. People go, what's a fire tunnel? Do they set us on fire? No, we don't set you on fire. You come running through like this, like there's speakers on each side. And then they just, we pray over you as you run through. It's almost like, and everybody's laughing. And because we want to send you out fired up for the cause and for the kingdom of Christ. So it's going to be fun. Cathy, any closing words you want to say to the people?
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody out there when we open the heavens in Branson. It's just perfect. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there as always. It's always good when we're together. It's beautiful. And thank you for having me on today and this wonderful discussion. I really appreciate you and all you are and do.
Well, thanks, Cathy. And thank you for watching. Now is the time. I'm going to be going, Ashley, to Kansas City and Branson this weekend, and I'm going to be working with a number of the people in the areas because people will be driving in from around the areas because Branson itself only has about 14,000 people, but people are flying in. We have people getting tickets from, Florida and from different parts of the country. So fly in. We're going to be working, getting a block of rooms across the, right across the, from the Mansion Theater. And we're going to get a good price on all that. So we'll let you know. So thanks for watching. Now is the time. Thank you for watching. And go to Cathy's website and get her books, Transformation of America, but also the Healing from PTSD, Aligned with the Divine, and the 3 in the trilogy series. I have all of them, and they really make a difference. So please, everyone, follow, subscribe, share this with 5 people, and then hit the notification bell that you'll actually be alerted when a new show comes up. And please make sure that you're still following because a lot of people that I know have been unfollowed on Rumble. So we're going to figure that out. But let me tell you, the gates of hell will not prevail. The gates of hell will not prevail from getting this word out. And we're going to see the greatest show on earth come into the planet for such a time as this that we've been called to the kingdom. Thanks for watching. God bless you. We'll see you soon.